Hello, America. It's time to check the nonsense at the door, clear the cobwebs between your ears, and have a rational-ish conversation. This is the lost art of common sense.
These are the kind of guys you like to smack in the ass.
Deport all undocumented immigrants. Voters favoring the government trying to deport all 11 million of them. Back in 2016, just 38% of voters wanted the government to try to deport all 11 million undocumented immigrants. Compared to where we are in 2025, 56%, the majority. The American people have come a long way on this issue, much closer to Donald Trump, and I think that's a big part of the reason why Americans are increasingly saying the country is on the right track when it comes to immigration policy, and why Donald Trump's net approval rating on that issue is in the positive.
That's right, America. I'm Josh.
And I'm Matt.
And this is Lost Art of Common Sense. A little light this week, but when the clown colleges call, Kevin answers. So he's out fishing for clown colleges. Our show, like normal, is brought to you by our merch shop. So be sure to check it out in the description below. Today we're talking about the status quo and how if change doesn't happen, I feel like it'll kill what we know America to be. So, Matt, we're just going to jump right into it, buddy.
Okay.
What do you think the status quo in America is?
What it is?
Yeah, like when I say, what's up, Jared?
What's up, Jared?
What's the first thing that pops into your head?
What was the question?
Like, I'm saying if the
what?
status quo doesn't change as the country's going to end, what do you think the status quo that I'm talking about is?
The status quo, basically, I don't know. Right now, I think nobody can get along. I think even if they said, even if the best things in the world were offered and said, hey, we're going to do this, best thing to happen, everything, people are going to find a way to nitpick it and disagree with it. And that's kind of the way of life, it seems now, is nobody can get along and everybody wants to argue and bitch about something. So I definitely think that needs to change. I think we all need to figure out a way to kind of get along better, instead of the divisiveness with everything and everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think the diversity
I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but
well, no, I mean, it's part of it. The diversity in the country. I mean, it's something new-ish, as in it's only been around a little under 20 years, I think. Like, because it's not like we were getting along like super good before 9/11, but there was a bonding of the country coming together after that. But it seemed like we came together, and then when that ran out, it just
yeah.
And you can't continue a country like that.
Right. And I think that's what, a lot of the conspiracy theorists, that's what they're like. It's like, hey, 9/11 was an inside job because they wanted everybody to get along, and they wanted all this because they know if there's something bad happens in a country, people are going to get along for a little bit until they don't. And
I mean, honestly,
and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so
it's not conspiracy. Asking questions is not a conspiracy. The term conspiracy theorist was literally drummed up by the government to discredit people asking questions about the government. True fact. But if 9/11 was an inside job, I think that was done in order to get us into a war so people can make millions of dollars on foreign wars. But
absolutely.
Along with that, the high spending, I think long-term politicians in government, and this isn't Democrats, or just Republicans, it's both. Like Democrats and Republicans in Washington talk about shit. They never get anything done. They pass very vague bills. Then they hire a bunch of bureaucrats to interpret and enforce the very generic, open to interpretation bills that they pass.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest thing is like with the bills and this nonstop spending and what the hell do they call it? The warfare with rich people. I can't think of the term right now. But blaming rich people for this or that, and they need to pay more for this or that. No one ever says anything about how about we cut back the needless spending. Like Doge has pointed out a shit tons of examples of how the government wastes money, but we never talk about cutting. We need to, tax more money. The fact that everyone in this country is not scared as hell of us being $30 plus trillion in debt astounds me, because a lot of the people that don't care and keep voting for people that, granted COVID shit, but Trump didn't take away from the debt either. Debt's been skyrocketing since arguably Bush and the war against terror. But a lot of the people that have no problem with it are also the people that are dependent on that system. And when that system fails, they're going to be the ones that suffer.
Naughty, naughty.
See?
Yes. Naughty people.
But no, if you're sitting around and you're living off the government, or like your survival is heavily dependent on the government, if this debt goes unchecked and the system collapses, and like say the US dollar, which we were headed that way, it might turn around. If that collapses, then those are the people that are really screwed.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do? Turn in a resume and be like, what have you done? Nothing.
Just hung out.
I'm really good at filling out federal request forms. Oh, that actually could be a job for some companies, I guess, the ones trying to get federal funding all the time.
I can go and argue with people on the internet and put stupid stuff out there.
Yeah. Well, and see, back in the day, a lot of people did not want to be congressmen and senators. There wasn't a lot of money in it. It was a pain in the ass. People had to be talked into doing it. Now, there are people coming right out of college. They're like, I'm going to be a congressman, or and they want to get into the mill right away.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? Like, how did the status quo come to be? Like, I think it's been a slow, incremental creep to get to where we're at. But like I said, we went from people like having to be talked into being a congressman to people like that's like what they want to do as soon as they're out of college. Like, they'll go to college to pad a resume to run for office.
Yeah. I think COVID had a lot to do with it. Just people being out of work and having more time on their hands and getting on the internet more. I think that had a lot to do with it. But before that, even just, I don't even know. It's just the steady progression of things and the advancement of the internet and communications and everything. The more access people have to things, it's like, oh, this might be interesting. And they just see people, they get more attention. The politicians are getting a lot more attention now than they had. Like when I was growing up, I gave two shits about politicians. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't hear about it. Now everybody hears everything about it. So I don't know.
Well, I think politicians are more famous now probably because of social media and I guess maybe standard media. But yeah, it seems like it's cool if you want to serve your country. It's not cool if you want to serve your country to enrich yourself.
Yes.
And a lot of people like,
and I think that's a lot of people do that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and a lot of them like act like there's something special. Like it annoys the crap out of me, and I know I brought it up on the show before. But none of those people are leaders. They're not leaders. They're mouthpieces for their district, and they feel like they have this reverence, like, oh, I'm a congressman, I'm a senator. And like, no, you're representative of your district, and you're a mouthpiece for that district. You're not a leader. You might be leaders in your little groups in Congress, but they act like, they're this special thing. Like, you ever seen that movie Shooter with Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah, yeah.
Where the dude's like,
I
I'm
like
a
that
U.S. senator. Okay, cool.
Yeah, good for you. Good job.
And I think people might care about who they're voting for, too, if they realize that your representative represents you. Mm-hmm. So if your representative is out on national television looking like a dumbass, I'm just going to assume everyone in their district is a dumbass.
Well, I saw AOC was doing some kind of rally or tour or something. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, the anti-oligarch tour.
Okay, I was like, why are you talking? Why is this a thing right now?
Her and Bernie Sanders just going around the country, and they're kind of like half-ass padding their numbers or the optics of their rallies because they're going to places like where there's already something going on. Like they went and were bitching about the oligarch, which one of the ladies on the Breakfast Club, kind of a left-leaning podcast, was like, yeah, nobody knows what the hell that is or care about what you're talking about and why you're talking about it. It's like, yeah, oligarchs aren't affecting me in mine. But, and I think Kevin brought it up on X too, or so, like Bernie Sanders used to bitch about millionaires until he became a millionaire, and then he shifted to billionaires. Like, he's a huge hypocrite.
Yeah.
But they're just going around and basically like, I'm going to do a tour and we're going to go around the country and I'm going to point out how Trump's bad, socialism is great, and everyone's going to be happy with me and my young little Padawan here. Like, that's kind of like, and they're like, oh yeah, she was ranked number 2 as far as like number wise as being I think it was the Democrat nominee.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's. Well, what did Kennedy? Kennedy called her the leader of the Democrats or something, and then he was like, "Yeah, and we
she
just
has emerged the leader of the far left or younger version of the Democrat Party."
And then he he said, "Yeah, we're gonna do Operation Letter Talk or something."
Yeah. Well, that's all you got to do. I mean, she's charismatic. I will give her that. She's good on social media.
Yeah.
And even like, she's one of those people that will say something horrendously stupid and be totally wrong about it. But
Make
she's
it
like,
sound
just keeps
smart.
going.
Yeah.
I mean, she's said dumb enough shit on the internet to where I'm surprised that she keeps going on the internet.
Mhm.
But that's
Did you get that other video I sent you over? And then
I think I did. I don't know if I uploaded it though.
maybe.
I'd have to look, but yeah, people are like, the problem with her is she might do good in a Democrat primary, but she's not. I don't think she's going to pull old school Democrats like that hog dip shit from Florida going around saying, you know, we're going to oust all the moderate Democrats. I'm like, cool. So we don't have to worry about you ever winning a national election again. Keep it up, bud.
Yeah.
And that guy's just he's the guy that was at the school shooting that, well, he wasn't in that Florida school shooting. He wasn't actually there, and he's just rode the victim coattails for that ever since.
Mm.
Went on this big anti-gun raid, and then it turned to find out he wasn't even in school when it happened.
Really?
Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, he quickly started and then closed his own pillow company trying to go against My Pillow, and apparently nobody gave a shit about Hog's Pillow. So, is the status quo, like it or not, that Trump is trying to change for the benefit of the country and her citizens, or the people in power? Like, why are people... Because Trump, like him or hate him, is trying to change shit. That's what he's doing. He's a disruptor, change agent. And there are people fighting like hell against him to keep the status quo. So are they doing it for the people, or are they doing it for themselves? Like, what do you think?
Are they fighting Trump for themselves or the people? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, and I guess really could also ask, do you think they're actually fighting for the status quo, or do you think they just hate Trump and that's who they're fighting? Because Trump is the agent of change.
Both. I think some are fine with whatever, and they actually, if it were anybody else besides Trump saying some of these changes and proposing some of this stuff, I think they'd be okay with it. They might get a little mad, but they wouldn't go nearly as much as they are now. So yeah, I think they hate Trump, but at the same time, I think a lot of the politicians are fighting them for themselves. I think some of the changes are going to be like, oh, this is not going to be good for me. A lot of these tariffs not going to be good. It's going to take money out of my pocket. So I think they have a lot to do with that. But then a lot of people hate Trump, so I think they're just going to fight him because he's him.
Well, and I would say that the people that turned on and are going like just head over heels against Elon are the ones that are fighting for the status quo. And by status quo, I mean those people are fighting for, I think a lot of that money, like I think they're right. I think a lot of that money goes overseas and then comes back in other people's pockets.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it only helps people in power and makes more and more citizens relying on the government, why should anyone not in power support it? Like, why would unless they don't know what's going on, but why would anybody support the status quo if, you just see people getting more and more power. I mean, because think about it. What have you seen from any Democrat? I know you don't watch a ton of the news, but have you heard or seen anything from Democrats that like would make you think what they're running for is for the actual betterment of the country?
Not that I've seen, but again, like you said, I don't pay a whole lot of attention. I'll look at it a little bit, but not really. I think it's just I think some of them believe they are going for the betterment of the people, but in the end, I think they're just going for themselves. And because they don't like Trump, they don't like all this change, and people that don't have what historically the background that a lot of other politicians have in the past, they just don't like change, this kind of change, so they're going against it, and they are rallying their non powerful people behind them saying, hey, this is going to be good for you, whether it is or not, because the more voices you have, the better you are with the fighting of the change, which is bullshit because he's going to do what he wants to do. So I don't know.
It does seem like he's gotten very good at. It's either he's gotten very good or Democrats have gotten really dumb at backing themselves into a corner.
Yeah.
Like he boxes them in on common sense issues and makes them take a stand for the dumbest shit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but you hear like, I don't know if you ever heard of this Carville guy. He's old, he's bald, he's very angry. He was big in the Clinton years, but when you hear him
Okay.
talk about, he's a Democrat strategist. Now, anyway, when you hear him or other Democrat strategists talk, all they talk about is what they need to do to get back into power.
Mm.
Like if you actually listen to them talk, that's what they're saying. It's like, oh, we need to do this, this, and this to get back into power, not this, this, and this to make America better. I mean, yeah, you
Right.
can say, oh, we're going to make Social Security better. We're going to make this free or that free or all this should be free and blah, blah, blah. But they never say how they're going to do it other than we're just going to spend a shit ton more of your money that we don't technically have.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I've seen. It's like, hey, it's like Trump's things are evil. We need to put this in the power, but no, it's not. It doesn't help anything. And again, it's going to spend more money. Instead of trying to work with the other side, they're just spilling hate. It's like, no, we don't want to talk to them. They're evil. Anything they say, we're just going to talk over. Even if they're making sense, if they say one or two words that are hot buttons, we're just going to go off that and just go from there and get people mad at them.
Yeah. Well, do you think the status quo could actually be changed if like large parts are left in place or unchanged? Like, how big of a correction of the ship do we need? Because like if you're sailing along and you hit the wheel, it'll just right itself.
Right. I think it's going to take a bit. I mean,
do
changed.
you think it's going to require top to bottom?
Yeah.
Have eyes on everything?
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's
Pretty
just
much.
well, when they talk about stuff, the reason why I asked is because they talk about like, and this annoys me, and no one really talks about it enough. But like, even in his first term, Trump talked about Obamacare. Obamacare is shit. It has made private health insurance extremely expensive unless you're poor or you lie, and you get subsidies. And they keep talking about I'm going to fix it, and that's one thing he hasn't done. He hasn't done anything with it. Oh, I'll look into it, or we got this great plan, never has come out with it. But like stuff like that where we can't have free healthcare. Now, if we didn't spend all the money, someone asked me too, how many other countries out there take money from their citizens and send it to us? I mean, we send billions and billions of our taxpayer dollars to other countries around the world. Yeah. Is there any other country on the planet that taxes their citizens and sends their money to us?
That is an excellent question.
I think it's worth looking up. I mean, hell, we have a hard enough time getting people to help pay for wars we're helping them liberate. So that was like, you know what? I'm betting it's zero. I could be wrong, but I'm thinking it's a big O.
Money to USA. How many countries collect taxes from their citizens to give to another country?
Now, I know a lot of countries that are well off. Like, a lot of first world countries do send aid to other countries. But I don't, well, not
No
at the level we do.
country directly taxes from their no country directly collect taxes from their citizens specifically to give a portion of that money to the U.S. Each country has its own tax system. Blah 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 blah.
That's a long way of saying none.
No. If you are referring to specific areas.
But like, if we don't change or clean up like Social Security, it's already collapsed. Like, people literally think that there's a bank account for Social Security and all the Social Security checks come out of that fund. Nope, it comes out of the general fund. That fund was bamboozled a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm not really seeing much.
Yeah, it's because there aren't any, Matt. That was a rhetorical question. But I'm glad you looked it up because
Hey, it's worth looking up.
I might have been wrong. Turns out Paraguay sends us $3 every year,
$3.
which is $6 million in their currency. I'm lying. God. You need to pick up on the sarcasm, bro.
I'm not looking up what you just said.
Yes, you are.
No.
Well, okay, so what do you think about what and how Trump is trying to achieve the change? Are you a fan of it? Some, not all?
I don't really know how to answer that. I don't know.
Why?
A lot of it. I think he's trying to smooth a lot of things out. He doesn't always go about it the right way or whatever because he just doesn't care what people think. He's just going to do what he wants to do and his intentions, and he's going to do anything to get it done. I don't know. I'm a fan with a lot of stuff. The borders.
Are you a fan with the what
I'm a
and
fan
not
of that.
necessarily the how?
Yeah.
You seem to be kind of you seem to lean into like if he was softer about what he did, you know.
A little bit, because I just don't like how especially when he gets on these speeches and then he gets on a topic of a person and his brain just says, oh, this, and then goes on a squirrel moment and just starts bad mouthing somebody for 10 minutes and just doesn't know how to get back on topic until.
You know what's funny though is he does eventually get back on topic, and I'm actually surprised, and I don't know if it's impressive or not, how he's able to go down a rabbit hole that bad, and then somehow he weaves it right back into what he was talking about.
He does, and that's funny. But
I'm not 100% sure how he
not really
does
funny,
that.
but good. But yeah, sometimes he'll just be like, "Oh, this is," and he'll see CNN. He'll go off on CNN for about 5 minutes, and then he'll kind of get back on topic a little bit, and then be like, "Oh yeah, you guys suck too," and then goes off on something else. So
yeah, that's why I mean, I don't watch a lot of his interviews just because it is hard to get a lot of answers because he does go down so many rabbit holes. It's like, oh, yep, he didn't answer that. He's not going to. I'll get to it. And I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not. like I'm glad he's gotten reelected to where he doesn't circle back to everything he did. So now we can talk about what he's doing. But according to Bill Maher, like everyone says he has thin skin, but I don't know if that's an act because like that Bill Maher clip of him talking about his dinner with Trump, like he brought up all the shit and like he's like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Megyn Kelly. He got in this huge spat with Megyn Kelly back during the first election, and they had a sit-down meeting together, and it
was actually good.
Yeah, she was blown away, and then at the end, she was walking out the door, and he's like, "Hey, Kelly, it's never good if they're not talking about you." And then, at that point, it dawned on her that he might have been doing all of that on purpose.
I think a lot of it is an act. Yeah,
I'll tell you one thing. If it is, and he's doing it on purpose and he knows what he's doing, he's a way more talented person than people give him credit for.
Yeah. No, he's been like that forever. He just doesn't he likes pushing buttons. He likes causing drama, and he can act. He likes being the spotlight. So,
I think he's
yeah,
very
I don't
good
think
at.
all of it's an act, but I think a lot of it is.
Well, and I do think that over the years he's gotten very good at controlling and navigating the chaos.
Yes,
Like I think he thrives in it. He has found that
I
as
agree with
like
that.
almost like a bargaining chip, not a bargaining chip, but like what do you? I mean, kinda. I mean, it gives him an advantage
Yeah,
because like the only person that knows what he's gonna do is him. He's an
it's him.
extremely hard person to read.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, you can't really get him a quote coach. I think in his first election or campaign, they were trying to get him a coach to tell him how to do stuff, and he's just like, nope.
well, and really, you could argue that some of the biggest problems of his first term were the fact that he didn't know what he was doing and he was relying way too much on other people's input.
Yeah,
Which I think at this time around, I don't think he gives a shit. He listens to
yeah.
people, and he did that in his first term. He always listens to everybody. Like he'll listen to anybody's idea, anyone in the room, and then he weighs it, and then he's just going to do whatever the hell he wants to do.
Well, and this time around, he lets people talk. Like you see him in an interview with the El Salvador guy, president. He
That
was
was a pretty
talking to
fun
him, and
interview.
then somebody asked him questions, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to answer that?" It goes to
Yeah,
one of his aides and stuff. It's like, "Hey, you want to chime in?"
I think he kind of cemented his status, I guess, during his first term, so he doesn't have to be as forthcoming and bombastic as he was the first time. To like where you're kind of like, walking around, yeah. But he said it like people know who he is and what he's
Yeah,
about. So yeah, he does seem, especially with other people, like you were saying, when he has people in the Oval Office and they're doing interviews, he seems more relaxed and yeah, go ahead, say
hmm,
something.
yeah,
So, I mean, I think he's definitely improved. I mean, I
yeah,
agree that I agree with what he's doing. I kind of agree with how he's doing it. The reason why I agree with the how, and I know a lot of people might get upset with some people saying we're moving too fast, blah 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 blah, or this or that. The problem with the government, why nothing ever changes, is because everything is super fucking slow
hmm,
all the time. Toward it, it's so slow to where nothing's going to change. They're like,
yeah.
oh well, we got to convene a study group and find out what this is and why and what we can do. That I'm like, nope, we just need to
No,
change
just
it
do it.
right now.
Just do it. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. That's not what I have a problem with. It's just how he. I don't even know what. I don't even know how to describe that. But no, I don't have a problem with him being like, "Hey, this needs to be changed. I don't want to take 100 years to do it. I only have these last 4 years, so fucking get it done." Um, and then he gets people that can. He gets the new FBI director. He gets the new what's the ball guy's name who's in charge of ice and everything.
Holmes.
Um, yeah, like
Well,
he's got him,
technically,
the
he's not
fucking
in
bulldog.
charge.
Well, not.
Uh, what's her face from South Dakota? The dog killer. She is. No,
Oh,
she. Homeland Secretary oversees a lot of shit. Like, arguably too much, but as far as like having a lot to do, that's a
yeah.
big office. It's I
Mhm.
don't think I think she's doing a good job. You're talking about Tom Holmes,
I'm talking about, yeah, big guy who's like, fuck him,
perfect dude for the job because he doesn't
yeah,
give a shit.
not one.
I mean, when you have ICE raiding pro illegal protests, it's like, well, I'm sure there's a few in there. Let's check them out.
Yeah.
And I
Well, and
know
then
that
that
upsets
one,
probably not a lot of people that watch this show, but it can upset people. But I thought that was hilarious.
well, so, yeah, and somebody showed him that clip of the, I think it was a trans man or something, and he's like, yeah, I'm all these things, and I'm an illegal alien. I came here illegally, and then they showed the clip to him. He's like, not for long.
Yeah. Well, I'll be seeing you. You
Yeah,
got to go where your customers are. You know, I'm just saying. Uh, that's why I think it. That's why that I agree with the. Well, that's why I agree with the Doge thing. Like everyone's like, oh, they fired too many people to come back. So I'd rather do that and then be able to find out who they do and don't need. Than because it's not like, oh, you're out of work for a week. Oh no, and yet nobody noticed. and probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
But that's why it needs rapid change. So, do you think Trump will be able to do it? Do you think after his 4 years he'll be able to break the status quo, or do you think it's going to require, like, do you think all of his plans may require a carry-on like Vance?
I think some of them will need to carry on. I think he is going to end up changing a lot of people's minds in the next 4 years and get them kind of more leaning his way and his thinking. I think they'll kind of get over themselves a bit, and things will change, but not everything, because it's going to take more than 4 years to break a lot of the status quo.
Especially
So yeah,
legislatively. I mean,
right.
if 2028 turns out good for the Republicans, I think a lot of the stuff that he wants to cement will go
Mhm.
into hyperdrive, but the Democrats sure as hell ain't doing much to help themselves.
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
those,
So we go these 4 years doing kind of what he wants and the Republicans want. And then if in 2028 somehow the Democrats somehow they pick somebody and they win, then they see a lot of these changes and reverse them, then it's gonna just totally fuck everything up. But if we get someone that agreed with a lot of Trump's thinking and will just again cement his ideas and cement the processes and everything, then it'll be fine.
well, and I guess that was actually talking about 26 as far as the congressional districts. So hopefully we pick some more up.
Oh, 26, yeah.
But see, our country has become so divided to where the 4 year term and 2 terms for president, you could argue could be a problem because for whatever reason, people in this country just can't get on the same page, even on the most basic of stuff.
Yeah.
So what happens is, especially when you got the media, which at this point is blatant to almost anybody that is horrendously biased and got caught lying countless times. Not me saying it, it's proof. Look it up yourself. But when we flip flop, it's not like back when, like, Clinton tried to get a little left his first couple of years. Then he turned. Second term was pretty good. Really wasn't that bad of a president, other than the inappropriate shit he was doing in the office. But I mean, as far as like taking the country to the brink, I mean, compared to he was even freaking more center than almost anybody. And apparently Matt dropped off. Oh wait, he's back.
He's
But,
back, kind of.
He wasn't bad. Bush was. I don't like Bush. Don't like him. Typical Republican, but like even then, I mean, Obama tried to cause a lot of change. Really, he talked about change more than he did change, other than Obamacare. Definitely caused. I would argue you could track one of the major rifts in the country back to his presidency, but before that, you need to stop touching whatever you're touching because you keep hopping in and out. Stop it.
What the heck?
You're touching a speaker or something.
No,
You
my
can't unplug
internet is
sound
good.
stuff.
My internet keeps going out.
Well, someone in that house is doing something they shouldn't be. But no,
I
like
just-
we've gotten to the point now. We're looking at what Trump did when he came in, then when Biden came in, and then Trump came in. Well, actually, Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump, huge sweeping changes, all because of executive orders and not actually doing legislative change. Which hopefully in 2026 we pick up some seats and we can do the legislative change and actually cement it. But I don't think. I mean, what happens to the country if he fails, and we continue the status quo? Track back to when you're a kid. I know you don't pay a ton of attention to politics, but track back when you're a kid, growing up, whatever. And that's how I look compared to where we're now and how much change has happened since you were a kid to where you are now. I know you're not that old, but you've been around a minute.
Been around.
I've had a lot of experience for money. But like, if it doesn't change and we keep this trajectory, what do you think is going to happen to the country and the world, actually?
I don't know. I think either way, we're fucked. No. I don't know. I think as far as the world goes, if it goes back to, if we don't fix the status quo how it is now, and we don't all start to come along and kind of work together to better ourselves as a country and just as a world, I think, yeah, we're just going to go to shit. And as far as the world's view of us has always been kind of off. And then especially with Trump, some countries like us more, a lot of countries don't, just because they don't like Trump. I don't know. I think a lot of countries are going to go back to not taking us as seriously as they need to, like Russia. And
Why do you think Russia doesn't take it seriously?
I think, well, under Biden, they didn't take us seriously at all because they,
You know,
I
and I
mean,
would kind of wonder and be interested to know. I don't think he necessarily, like, as far as Russia Ukraine goes, I don't think he invaded Ukraine because he wanted parts of Ukraine and he took advantage because Biden was weak. I personally think that he did it because he said he was going to do it if Ukraine joined NATO. And then shortly after Kamala Harris said, you should join NATO, he invaded Ukraine. Now, granted, he might have known that, you know, he could have done that and, like, he's not going to have the same repercussions as he would with Trump because I'm pretty sure Trump said, you invade Ukraine, I'm going to bomb Moscow. Like, the way he was talking, that's what he said.
Mm.
He's like, oh, I'm just saying it'd be a shame if something happened to all these pretty buildings. The architecture in Russia is actually pretty interesting. I wonder if it has to do
It
with the
is
fact
nice.
that it's so horrible there. They're like, hey, let's make it look like a fairy tale where if you go in, a witch is going to feed you a bunch of candy and then eat you. That's what I think when I see those
Could
buildings.
be. Could be. They have some pretty interesting nursery rhymes there.
But
Not that we don't.
yeah, I think well, what Trump's doing right now is horrendously destabilizing China's 1,000-year, it's either 100-year or 1,000-year plan. It might be 100-year. Apparently, China is also having problems with the Utes in China, like kind of like silent protesting, like
Yeah.
Xi Jinping's losing the Utes.
Oh.
But they're the next They're the next people in line. If the U.S. falls, that's who's going to fill the void. If a major power falls, somebody fills the void, and things are going to get real bad. And our country's too big, and even the train wise and everything, to where you're not going to. If we ever fell, shit, we might end up becoming 50 separate countries. I mean, because it's just like, think about total economic collapse. Now, Texas, and I bet Iowa, they could make it on their own economically because major resources and both ends, stuff that people need. So, like, I think if you had a total federal collapse, the only way for a state to survive would actually to be like, well, okay, I guess we're on our own. It's either that or it's going to be total anarchy and wild, wild west.
Yeah. Well, I think the movie Civil War, I think they had it kind of broken up between not 50 states, but
Did you see that?
I did. It was actually good. I enjoyed it.
See, I haven't seen it. I
didn't
probably
like
need to
the
watch
ending,
it.
but the ending was
Crispy.
weird. But for the most part, it was a pretty good movie.
Well, here's the thing. You know it was a fiction because there ain't no way in hell California and Texas are going to team up. But it broke into regions. I think that's kind of the way it would happen.
Yeah.
Like if there was ever a major split, blue states would be fucked because red states actually, like, geographically make up a majority of the country.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, we don't have the straight east and west coast, but we have the Gulf. And, you know, we got a little bit East Coast.
Yeah.
Actually, probably about half of it.
Well, it could be like Hunger Games. I saw they
Hunger
broke
Games
up into
is based
13
in the
districts.
United States.
Yeah. Yeah, and they
District
broke up into
12's in
13
Kentucky.
districts. Is that right?
I'm not going to lie. I like those movies.
No, they were great. I liked the books better, but
Yeah, the
movies
books were way
good.
better. And I felt like such a douche. I'm not gonna lie.
I
I was
don't know where
finally
my
one of
mouse
those
is.
guys. Oh God, the book was so much better. She did not get the pin from some hobo lady in the market. She got it from the mayor's daughter. You even know what I'm talking about? You
I
know the
do
whole
know what you're talking about.
Mockingjay
I'm just
pin
trying
that
to
the whole
find my.
movie revolves
Yes, I
around?
know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, we'll see.
Did you read the new one?
The
Did you read the new
Songbird one?
book? The Song of Snakes and
Yeah,
Birds
that's not new.
about Hamish. About Hamish.
No. What?
Yeah, there's a new one about Hamish, and I would look it up, but I don't know where my freaking mouse is.
Well, I'm gonna have to read it because I like her writing style and she's a good author.
Yes, no,
Even if
you
you
would
don't like the
definitely like it.
stories, I think I like the way she writes.
Yep, and I don't know where anything is anymore. There it is.
I find it interesting that
Sorry, I lost my mouse.
you lose your mouse and my word freezes up. That's funny.
Yeah,
Let's
my
see. Well, I
internet's
mean, that's pretty
crap.
much all I have for the main topic.
Okay.
So let's roll into winners and losers. Hopefully, you did a little bit of homework and you have a winner and a loser of the week.
In my book, you're a winner too.
I think you're a loser.
Yeah. Well, who's your loser, Matt?
My loser is Katy Perry.
Oh,
Yeah.
why?
Well, Katy Perry, she was already kind of out there and loopy and out there and stuff. But ever since she became an astronaut and went up into space and flew and sang What a Wonderful World and came back down and kissed the ground like she had been stuck in space for 9 months. Yeah, she's just.
She's
I could
always
group
been a
all of
huge
them
prima
together.
donna. Prima donna?
Yeah.
Prima donna. That's why I stopped.
And
Well,
now we're
I'm
stuck.
not going to lie. I never
Now we're
really.
froze. I think I'm froze because my internet sucks.
You're still moving.
Am I froze still?
No.
Okay.
You're fine, though. Don't necessarily. You were a little bit, but don't pay attention to what your shit said. Yeah, she's been annoying. Like, I used to watch a little bit of American Idol, but she is like weird.
She is very weird.
There's a lot of people that said she sold her soul to the devil, and that's how she became popular. Because she used to be a good going, like a straight as narrow, church, holy roller, and now she sings about sex and inappropriate stuff.
Yeah. I would group her and Gail King in as my losers, I guess. Just
one
because Gail's
whining.
gone off on stuff too, and it's basically
We'll
anybody
talk
that went on
about
that
more
flight
about
other
that and
than
the
the actual
happenings, but
astronauts. Yeah.
yeah, we'll delve
She would
into that.
basically be her and Gail King are my losers, I guess, especially Gail.
Well, I did. Unfortunately, a bunch more clips came out of this guy beforehand, but here's my loser.
I'm here at the
Old
airport.
Chris
I'm
Van
about to
Hollen.
board my flight for San Salvador. The goal of this mission is to let the Trump administration, to let
Oh,
the
and just so
government
you
of
know,
El Salvador know
This little
that
trip he
we are
did
going to
was paid
keep
for by the
fighting to
taxpayers.
bring Abrego Garcia home until he returns to his family. I hope to meet with representatives of the government. I hope to have the chance to actually see Kilmar and see what his condition is. But we are going to keep fighting because this is a miscarriage of justice. The Supreme Court has ruled 9-0, that he was illegally taken out of the country and put in a prison in El Salvador. And this is about due process. This is about rule of law. What bullies do is they begin by picking on the most vulnerable. But if we get rid of the rule of law and due process in the United States, it's a short road from there to tyranny.
So here's the thing. That guy's a douche. That was 100% virtue signaling. That trip was paid for by the taxpayers because he used his Senate funding or something. Like the Senate paid for that trip. he did meet with them, which I did not get that clip, and it was weird. They said they weren't drinking margaritas yet. It did look like there was salt around the rims. He did not look that bad. And here's the thing. That dude was deported. Venezuela, who is receiving their citizen back, didn't have to put him in prison. And everyone said he's in this super violent prison. He's not in a super violent, dangerous prison. He's in a prison full of super dangerous people that don't do anything because it is a very strict prison. And they don't put up with any bullshit. And there's no way in hell we could have a prison like that here in the United States.
Right.
Which is why he didn't look all that bad in the interview.
Yeah.
And it is ironic that now there's been a lot of you could say the timing. So there is this mother of 5, was raped and brutally murdered by an MS-13 member. And they were using that as here's this mom. The reason why she was in Washington is because the guy who raped and murdered her daughter was convicted or something like that. And it coincided with this dipshit going to Venezuela. So you heard about him going to Venezuela, then they went to her. He never mentioned her. He voted against the Laken Riley Act. He's going down there, and they're spending a shit ton of political capital and getting up on this hill for an illegal immigrant. And apparently the tattoo in his hands. Okay, here's the thing. MS-13 people hang out with MS-13. Gang members hang out with gang members. They don't hang out with a bunch of people that aren't in a gang.
Right.
Let alone 2 judges. But I don't give a shit. He's illegal. He had papers to remove. And then the reason why he didn't get removed the first time is because he said, if you send me back, I'm going to get killed by a rival gang. When you say rival gang and you hear that, what does that tell you?
He's in a gang.
Yes, because if you weren't in a gang, it wouldn't be a rival gang. It would be like, hey, if you send me down there, I'll be killed by a gang. Rival gang means plural, as in you're part of one. And the weird thing is, he can't talk to his wife that he beats the shit out of twice. He's a family man in Maryland who, was being looked at for human trafficking. But yeah, that guy's just, the virtue signaling is just unreal. And then he got all pissed off because the president of Venezuela's like, yeah, he got his meeting and having margaritas, but blah, blah, blah. They did get him moved to a different prison, but the prison he's in is horrible. It's a supermax. There's 50 people to a room. The lights are on 23 hours a day. It's a horrible prison where the reason why the crime went so far down is they round up every gang member and threw him in there. It is a horrible prison. Kind of the way prison should be. I get if you go to prison, I don't have a problem with people being able to learn skills so when they get out, they can be productive members of society, because I do believe in a clean slate if you've served, your time and you paid your debt to society. But at the same time, it's a punishment and it should suck. That's what that prison is.
Yeah.
It's not violent, because if people get violent, they come down on them super fucking hard because they have different human rights standards than we do. As I said, that prison would never exist in the United States. Ever.
No.
I mean, is it borderline torture and suck? Yeah. So, yeah, that guy's my loser just because he's just a dipshit. Doesn't give a... Democrats need illegals because they're trying to replace the voter base because they've become so unpopular. Because you know what? I think deep down in the core of America, we're never going to accept socialism.
Yeah,
It's not gonna happen.
I think this whole thing is just a publicity stunt by this guy. I think he might have an inkling of caring about him, but no, I think it's just a publicity stunt. He's like, hey, I'm going to get attention because I'm going to look good by going to visit this guy and nobody else will. But it's stupid. Nothing's going to come out of it.
Well, and I think some people say he has aspirations of running for president. This isn't going to win you the White House.
Yeah, no.
You got a winner? Have you thought of one?
I haven't thought of one yet. No.
I have a winner.
I failed.
And it has to do with your loser. My winner of the week is Wendy's.
I did see that.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that Wendy's has a pretty mad social media game.
Yes, it is very good.
Like their people on social media are kind of savage sometimes. So I was like, yeah, they're gonna be my winner this week because I remember every now and again I look it up like, yeah, they say some pretty off the wall shit, and then they came out like, by no means are we not saying that we don't support Katy Perry. She is awesome and out of this world. Like that's not exactly what they said, but they did say out of this world. Like they even got to dig in. So
She's out of this world, way up there.
yeah. Well, if you don't have a winner, I couldn't really find a Doge update of the week just because there hasn't really anything big going on other than they're constantly going through stuff and rooting out fraud and stuff like that. I mean,
guess
after a while,
I guess if I had a winner, yeah.
who would your winner be, Matt?
I guess a winner, Olivia Munn, maybe, because she was making fun of that whole thing too. It's like, why are we going? Why is this happening? It's like, oh, just waste more taxpayer money so you can go up there and float around and pick daisies in space.
Is that taxpayer funded or is that like something for rich people?
I can't. You're cutting out. What?
I said, is that taxpayer funded or is that just for rich people? It looked like Matt's having technical difficulties. Let's see. Hopefully he can jump back in, maybe. Well, we're going to go ahead. Matt, we're rolling into happenings of the week because we really don't have a Doge thing.
Okay. Sorry, my internet sucks.
Well, you know. The funny thing is you have full bars. I feel like somebody in that house might be streaming a movie, which is totally rude since you're on a nationally syndicated television show right now. Internet show. So
I should be on not Wi-Fi. Should not be on Wi-Fi.
Should be on Ether.
Yes,
all right, rolling into winners and losers of the week.
What's happening?
What's happening? What's happening?
What's happening?
What's happening? What is happening?
You know what's going to come out of her mouth, but really her heart.
And is that Jeff Bezos out there right by the capsule? Kind of hard to see.
That is.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here goes Jeff Bezos to open the hatch.
She didn't really close it again. Come on out, guys.
Well, I forgot to clip the TikTok part of the video.
Whoops.
It really drags on.
It does.
But
Stays on there for a minute.
yeah, that was weird. Like, you could hear him say, "Oh, you didn't close it all the way." Apparently, for the photo op, they wanted to have him, like, opening the door. But that whole thing is weird. Technically, they didn't go into fate. Like, the whole story is all-women crew took a ride in the dick ship, went all the way up to the tip of the atmosphere, and came back down. There's a conspiracy theory saying it didn't happen. I think they did go up. I think they did go for the ride. It is a ride. They're not a crew. They're not astronauts. But they didn't. You're not in space.
It is not a ride. It is a flight. Don't you call it a ride.
It's a ride. I mean, you look at it. It looks like a big
call it a ride.
floating living room. Like a 70s. Like, you ever seen those houses in the 70s that had the pits with the velour cushions around it? That's what it looked like. But when it comes down and there's no char marks on it, they didn't leave the atmosphere. So apparently, what do they call that capsule? The Shepherd? I guess he didn't go
No,
to
yeah,
space
the Alan
technically
Shepard.
either. People are making arguments about when are you actually in space?
No,
when you're actually in space, there is no blue hue. It's just black. Like, you see the blue planet.
Oh, it looked like death out there. Like death.
Yeah. Well, Katy
That's
Perry
what
was
Bezos'
weird.
girlfriend said. I think that was his girlfriend
Yeah, I think
or fiance.
Gail King's reaction, or not happy about the reaction, like, oh, no, we are astronauts. We are part of the crew. Really? What button did you push?
She
Who
said
opened
so
the
many
door too
things that
early?
were just so stupid. It's just
I mean,
dumb.
just say you
And then
went for a ride. You got to see the curvature of the Earth. Hey, guess what? Earth's not flat.
It's not flat. Definitely not flat. Yeah, it's so stupid. And then she's like, yeah, and all these kids and these girls and boys even and men come up to me and they're just like so inspired and they say, one day I wanna do that. I wanna do what you did. And then I saw somebody else's video comment. It's like, okay, yeah, just come up with $25 million and yeah, you can take a 6-minute ride up to space too.
That's what. Well, yeah. Basically, that capsule goes up high enough to where you get into 0G for about 11 minutes, and then it comes back down. And I don't even know if like anyone on the capsule actually does anything, because you're not in a ship; you're in a capsule.
Yeah.
That looks a lot like a penis.
It does.
Which is why the mashup with the Austin Powers thing fits so well.
It is amazing.
What are your
I love that
thoughts, or
mashup.
do you have any thoughts on China stop shipping materials to make chips and batteries as part of their ongoing trade war with the United States of America?
They stopped sending it?
Yes, they halted shipments of rare earth minerals that we need for making microchips and batteries.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
I feel like they're just giving us more examples on why we're too reliant on them and we need to cut our ties with them. That's a problem when you get into a trade war like this, I think. And like with COVID, we learned this in COVID with raw ingredients for antibiotics in like fentanyl and stuff. Like we can't get it because if it comes from China, like there's shortages on stuff like that. Not fentanyl really, but you learn that in the. It's like, okay, well, apparently then we need to find another source or source it ourselves, which I think is. I really don't think there's all that many rare earth minerals in Ukraine, but there are a ton apparently up in Iceland or Greenland.
Yeah.
Iceland's a nice place. Greenland's the frozen shithole.
Yeah.
Which is a little tricky.
Greenland's icy.
I heard they actually named Iceland so people wouldn't come there.
I think so. I've heard that too.
Yeah, so it's probably true.
Makes sense.
I think I think somehow. I think Trump got the jump on China, and now they're backpedaling and making bad decisions, and I think they're just hurting themselves. What do you think about the media and the left in general that are super going to bat for that MS-13 guy in Venezuela?
They're dumb. They just wanna. They see an opportunity, what they think is an opportunity to get people on their side. Be like, oh, you can't make someone disappear. You can't disappear people. They can disappear this gang member. They can disappear you. And that's what's her name said.
Well, the problem is they're saying that these people are being removed without due process. I'm like, no, right now, oh, they haven't committed crimes here, been charged, blah, blah. I'm like,
yeah, they came in illegally.
Yeah, if you've come in illegally, that's your crime.
You are a criminal if you did something. Just because they came in illegally doesn't mean they're criminals.
Well, like even the CNN guy, like we showed on the poll at the opening of the show, a majority of the country, it's a slight one, but 56% of the country that CNN polled, which means probably 80% of the country, is for getting rid of all the 11 million illegals that came in under Biden.
Yeah.
Like that's what annoys the crap out of me about the whole immigration problem. People completely step over the fact that just being here is a crime. You don't need to go to trial to figure out if you're illegal. It's like either you're in the system and you're a U.S. citizen or you're not.
Well, especially when a guy already has a deportation sentence or whatever they gave him.
Two of them.
Two of them. And even though a judge was like, oh, no, don't send him back because he's going to get killed.
By a rival gang.
Yeah, like that doesn't happen here to actual Americans.
Yeah.
It's like, what are they going to do? Go to Mexico because there's a rival gang that's going to kill them if they stay in America?
I always think that's the dumbest argument too that people make, as far as like, well, we have that crime here anyway. Yes, we do. We don't need to import anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, we're good. We got that covered. Unfortunately, don't need any more of it.
Right.
So, I think this week was kind of light on stuff, but I did hear that the judge in Texas dropped Carmelo Anthony's bond, the dude who stabbed the other dude at the track meet.
That's so fucking stupid.
The bond was $1 million, dropped to $250,000, which means it only costs $50,000 or $25,000, that you pay out of pocket for the bond.
Which, as much money as he's raised, he can just buy it.
Funny.
Oh, he bought a house. He bought a house, didn't he?
No, he didn't buy a house, but his family raised $500,000, which is kind of weird because I thought GoFundMe closed it out and sent the money back. But somehow his family raised $500,000. But due to financial hardship, the judge dropped the bond from $1 million to $250,000. But they're staying in a $3,500 a month, $800,000 Airbnb to be safe. There's a lot of weird shit with that. There's a lot of stuff like, I don't understand. Like, what do you think is the deal with people? Like, do we not have enough going on in our lives to where people need to inject themselves into all these stories? Like, oh, I'm with Carmelo Anthony or even the other kid. I mean, like, this is a crime that happened. He's probably going to get convicted because
he should be.
Well, see, the more time that goes by, the more you learn. Apparently, these guys have had altercations in the past. And I think Carmelo might have lost a fight to the kid he stabbed.
Okay, I've lost fights. I ain't going to go kill someone because of it.
Yeah, well, that's the problem with today. You, like we talked about that before, you can't just get in a fist fight with somebody anymore because they're going to end up tracking you down. And, like, nobody can take an ass whoop anymore. It used to be if you had a disagreement, you get in a fight, whoever wins is right.
Yeah, and then you go buy beers.
It's like, well, I really don't want to get my ass kicked again, so yeah, you're right. Bunnies can fly. Ugh. I think my spleen's bleeding. They have the biggest wings in the world.
I saw a thing on, I think it was a Facebook reel. It's like self-defense in 1990 something, and it was just kids just having a fight, whatever, and then getting along. And then self-defense in 2025, someone goes to take a swing at you, take out a gun, shoot their kneecap.
Well, see, and that's where I should have got a clip. Did you probably didn't, but did you see the press, whatever the hell you call it, that the family had? Called a press briefing or whatever. It was a joke.
No, I didn't. That whole thing is so stupid.
I almost feel sorry for the kid because I think he's got a shitty lawyer. But called a press conference. It was a joke. But they're leaning heavily on this self-defense thing. Here's the thing. And I don't know about knives, although I know that I can almost guarantee you that knives are not allowed at school functions. At least they weren't when I was going to school.
Yeah, no.
You got caught with a knife, you were getting expelled.
Oh, yeah.
But I do know that I'm a licensed concealed handgun carry person, and I practice my Second Amendment rights.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. If you start an altercation and that altercation elevates into a situation where you have to use that firearm for deadly, and you have to use that firearm and use deadly force to stop it, you're going to jail. You cannot,
and here's
in most cases, because you were carrying a firearm, you started the altercation, and then that escalated into a deadly force situation. So you can't claim self-defense if you initiated the altercation.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what he's going to run into.
Yeah, and here's the other thing that totally kills his case. He was in the wrong place. He was on the wrong bench. They told him to get out.
He was in the wrong
not getting
tent,
out.
Matt. God.
Tent, bench, whatever the fuck it is.
It was raining.
He's in the wrong place. He's not where he should be. They tell him to get out. Nope, not getting out. He starts mouthing off and saying, do something. Do something to me. That should totally get rid of self-defense.
Yeah, he said, do
'Cause you
something and see what
invited
happens. I
harm
think
to
shows
yourself.
intent.
Yes. It shows intent that, yeah, I want to fight you. I want this to escalate. And
Well,
it's
and
inviting him to
if it's
escalate.
true, these are all based on like eyewitness testimonies from previous events, but the testimony that has come out that these guys have had altercations in the past makes more sense on why the altercation unfolded the way it did. Because if they had a history, they didn't like each other, that would kind of explain why both sides escalated as fast as they did, which does
Right.
not help his case.
Right.
So it kind of
He
brings
doesn't
that up.
really have much of a case, I don't think. So, not because he's black, but
No, I think
then-
it's because of
then
the
that-
stuff he said, and then he flat out he admitted to stabbing him, and then he was asking the cops, "Do you think this is self-defense?" And I just think, like, I don't know. I mean, I like hearing about stuff. I love ID, but like, I don't know. It's like this stuff goes viral, goes all over the internet, and then people inject themselves. It's just like now everyone thought like the dude that shot the insurance guy. He's
Yeah.
not so
Yeah.
smiley anymore now that he knows that the federal government's going for the death penalty.
right.
Because people are like, this is a fight
Yeah,
against,
and
you know, corruption in health, insurance and stuff, healthcare. It's like, no, this is a case about a guy who stalked, hunted down, and murdered in cold blood a father.
Mhm.
It's 100%. You know what? And if he gets the death penalty, I don't care.
Yeah.
You don't do
Aye.
that. You can't do that. Now, if he's set up and he's a fall guy and it was somebody else, I mean, I'm just saying, some of those pictures don't seem to match up. And if he's as smart as they say, have you noticed that everyone in the news is a valedictorian nowadays?
Oh yeah.
Even though I guess, I don't
He's
know. You hear
fucking
all,
Jason Bourne.
Everybody.
Didn't Kevin and I kind of prove that the kid is Jason Bourne?
I mean, a little bit. I thought it was weird how someone who's never committed a violent act can act that cool and collected while trying to shoot somebody with a gun jam and cleared the jam and kept shooting and then just walk off. That
He's
was
never
weird.
been proven a felon. He's never been caught. Tell me.
Well, I'm just saying, it's weird to have that kind of composure in a situation like that. And I
Right.
know why his gun kept jamming, because he had a 3D printed suppressor, and
Right.
there's I can't remember the name of it, but there's like a spring adapter that goes on when you're using a suppressor on a handgun, because a handgun requires a certain amount of back pressure, or from recoil in order to get to cycle. Well, when you have a suppressor on it, it mitigates that, so the gun won't cycle right. So there's like a spring-loaded adapter you put on the pistol, then you put on the suppressor, and it'll allow the gun to function like it normally does. He didn't have that. It was a 3D printed suppressor without the adapter. That's why the gun kept jamming or wouldn't cycle correctly. I just thought it was weird. Like when I first initially saw it, the dude walked up, shot him, or fired, had a misfeed, cleared it, shot him again, had a misfeed, shot him again, or shot at him again, and then walked off. I'm like, that just seemed like... And then the stuff he did. So, I mean, granted, everything's conspiratorial nowadays, but that seemed weird.
Yeah, it was.
And like I
He's
said,
smart.
I just heard about this, so I put it in here. You talked about it. Apparently, it's been around for a while. But I kind of put it in here just so people know that the Netflix's show Adolescence is a fiction. It's not a documentary. But I know you've been kind of watching. You say I've heard from a few people that the acting is very good. So
It is very, very good. I've seen a little bit of it, and everything I've seen is just great. Even the little kid, there's one scene where he goes from scared that he's in police custody and terrified, and then he starts getting mad that nobody's listening to him, and this is all within like 20 seconds. He's getting mad, and then he's like, okay, I just fooled you, and then he's happy, and he's like, oh, I just fucked with you. It is fucking great.
Was that kid taking any medication in the show?
When you mean in the show or as
Yeah,
a
like as a
actor?
character in the show, was he on ADHD medicine or anything like that?
I don't know. I don't know enough about it to know that.
The only reason why I really wanted to bring it up is because I haven't
trying
seen
to
it.
look it
I've
up
heard
right
it's
now.
good. Might need to watch it. You might have to do a review on it, Matt. But
Yeah,
a lot of people think
And
it's
it's
like real, and it's not.
British.
It's
not American.
fiction. It's entertainment.
Oh yeah.
It's not a documentary.
Oh, absolutely. I mean the main actor Stephen Graham, he's been in a lot of stuff. He was in the Venom movie, the Carnage one. Huh? You've seen Venom.
Yeah, I have.
You stop it.
I'm lying.
I would hope so.
Who is he in the movie?
He was in Snatch. He was the cop that arrested Eddie Brock. Kind of shorter, baldish. He's been in a lot of stuff.
He played
Irishman.
Al Capone.
He was Al Capone in
Good actor. I like that dude.
yes. He's in Boiling Point, Snatch, Irishman, Peaky Blinders. Oh yeah, he was in Peaky Blinders too. Yep.
You watch a lot of movies. You're such a loser.
A lot of movies, a lot of shows. He was in Gangs in New York. That was one of his first American movies.
I don't
Boardwalk
know. I might have to
Empire.
watch it. I mean,
Boardwalk Empire. That's what I was thinking of.
A lot of people are thinking it's real. I'm just saying it's not real. It's a documentary.
It's definitely not real.
If you have seen it or are watching it and you like it, comment below. So you said you haven't heard of this, and it makes sense because I heard about it while it was happening and then nothing. But apparently there was an actor shooter event at the Florida State University, FSU. And it was done by a kid who apparently, I heard it was a 12 gauge and a handgun, and the handgun was the service weapon of his mom, who was a county sheriff's deputy. I would say the bigger question is, why do you think it dropped out of the news so fast? To where you don't even know about it.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything.
I mean, I have an idea.
Because only 2 people were killed. That might have something to do with it. It's in Florida. I don't know why.
I think there's 2 reasons.
Apparently it is.
Probably more, but 2 reasons glaringly. 1, only 2 people died, so it's not a mass shooting. 2, he used a 12 gauge and a handgun, not an AR-15.
Yeah.
And then there was another shooting in Dallas at a high school that had a shooting before.
Really?
We might have to do
I didn't hear anything
episode
about
on mass shooters. Well, I don't think anybody. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure anybody died. If they can't exploit death, yeah. If they can't exploit death, they don't talk about it that much, and it leaves the news cycle pretty quick. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, Florida, 2 people died, 6 others injured. 20-year-old gunman opened fire near the student union. Suspect was shot and wounded by police officers after he disregarded their comments. He was taken to hospital and identified as a student and the son of a local sheriff's deputy.
Yeah.
Doesn't say anything about the handgun.
It's nice to know the mom was practicing proper gun safety.
Yeah. Where was she? First shot was fired at 11:56 a.m. 8 days before the last day of classes for the spring semester.
Well, he did live, so we might get a motive.
Yeah, they just shot and wounded him.
Yeah, we might have to do an episode on school shootings, mass shootings in general, because like, I know people don't want to talk about people's names because they try to make themselves infamous. If anybody who thinks that doing a mass shooting is going to make them famous, it's not. You're going to go down in history, and by history, I mean you can be on the news cycle for about 2 days. You're going to be labeled a loser, and then everyone's going to forget you.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I was super happy with the guy who tried to do a mass. Well, I think he might have done a mass shooting at that mall. Unfortunately, I think he did kill 4+ people, but then he was swiftly gunned down by a license to carry civilian that was there.
Yeah.
They actually made a new shooting drill based on him because it was not
Really?
easy as shot, especially under pressure. But like these shooters are losers. The guy who put them down are winners.
Yeah.
You're not going to
I
be
100%
famous.
agree with it.
And, and anybody who thinks like the only reason why I half-ass remember the asshole, and this is also why I almost religiously carry when I go to a movie, is the movie theater guy. That's just because he looked like the Joker. I have no idea what his name is.
He went crazy. Yeah, I don't remember his name either. But yeah, he
And
thought
that
he was the
asshole is
Joker.
one of the reasons why they're trying to outlaw body armor. There are states where you can't own body armor. And I think that's why I think 2020 threw almost every argument the left has on gun control out the window. Other than the fact the Second Amendment has nothing to do with riots or anything like that. It has to do with overthrowing a tyrannical government. But whatever. Check out the Founding Fathers' reaction to modern-day gun regulations in the description below. Unless you're on X, so I can't do a description. But I don't know. It's like I don't understand why there's so many of these mass shootings. Like, people don't process their emotions correctly nowadays. So,
Yeah.
you're about. This is the last thing I have. If you heard anything else, we can talk about it after. This is kind of fucked up, and another reason why I don't like Pam Bondi, because this case should be thrown out yesterday. A man with a braced. I don't know. Do you know what a CZ Scorpion is? It's a 9mm pistol caliber carbine. But it's like it's big on. It's a gun that's on that war game everybody plays online.
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty. But all it is a 9mm. If you put a brace on it, it's a short barrel rifle, which is a bullshit fucking thing that was outlawed because it's scary and politicians don't know what they're talking about. Again, infringe on the Second Amendment. But he was arrested and being charged for having a braced CZ Scorpion. The fucked up thing is in the indictment, they call it a CZ Scorpion pistol and a CZ Scorpion non-tax stamped nor NFA registered SBR, short barrel rifle. In the same indictment. They call the same gun two different things. Which you would think if you're a lawyer, you could argue based on indictment 1, the federal government is literally calling this a pistol.
Yeah.
Which is legal to own.
You can't call it two things.
There were people saying this guy was an idiot. I have no idea what he was doing with it. I know it was out of his house and stuff like that. But, like, this is a big thing to do with the ATF where they're trying to, they tried to send out a checklist. So if you had, a pistol is anything shorter than 16 inches, and you had to have a brace that's meant to strap to your arm. They were developed for injured veterans so they could still shoot, something like that and have stability.
Right.
So it used to be the ATF said you cannot shoot a brace from the shoulder or shoulder. That would make it an SBR, blah, blah, blah. Well, the Supreme Court ruled the government can't tell you how you're going to shoot your gun. So now people can
shoot how I want.
Yeah, so now people can shoulder braces.
Nice.
It's a stupid, technicality, but it is what it is. SBR shouldn't be an NFA item anyway, but anything shorter than 14 inches with a brace is a pistol. If you put a stock on it, now I have seen dipshits that'll put a stock on their Scorpion and be like, oh, yeah, no one's going to know. It's like, take a picture of yourself and blah, blah. So I don't know, something like that happened. But this case is why I don't like Pam Bondi. And I think, as far as the 2A stuff, she may or may not be doing a good job with the other stuff. I'm a pretty big 2A advocate. And I think Trump has been falling short on that, given her extensions and stuff like that. Kash Patel did get rid of the zero tolerance rule, which was closing local gun shops. Basically, if somebody made a clerical error, like you've bought a gun before, right, from a store, all the information you fill out. If you made a clerical error on that and the store didn't catch it, they were getting closed down by the ATF. So he got rid of that. Then he got replaced and stuff like that. But it's just like this case should be thrown out. This is a Biden era case. So, whatever. But like, okay, well, you need to go. This is a bullshit case and get it thrown out or remove charges. So I thought that was pretty horse shit.
Well, horse shit. Yeah, that is kind of horse shit. Let's see. What does this say? Supreme Court is taking up a challenge to President Trump's birthright citizenship policy, potentially impacting the citizenship and status of children born in the U.S. to undocumented parents.
He did that on purpose. He passed that. He passed that executive order intentionally so somebody would sue him and they would take it to the Supreme Court. They are basing that on an amendment in the Constitution, but it has to do with slaves. That's why because there's something in there that says like if you're born in the United States, you're a citizen. But back when it was written, it had to do with like freed slaves and stuff like that, like having kids. Like that's what it had. It had nothing to do with like foreigners coming to this country having a kid, and their kid automatically being a U.S. citizen. My cousin was born in Germany. She's not a German citizen. She's a U.S. citizen. Like You're not a citizen of the country you're born in. In most places that are sane, your citizenship is based on what your parents are. Now, if illegal and a U.S. citizen have a kid, then the kid's a citizen because one of the parents is a citizen. You get a dual citizenship. But that's what, I think he did that on purpose. So it goes to Supreme Court. Whether or not he's going to win or lose on it, I have no idea.
Yes, makes sense.
If it comes down to Amy Coney Barrett, we might be screwed. Because I feel like they're holding
I hate my internet.
Yeah, it's stupid. You need to go to fiber, bro. Don't you have MetroNet in your area?
Dude, we have it. We have... I'm hooked up to the Ethernet cable. Everything's Ethernet, but for whatever reason, it's not working. So I'm on Wi-Fi, which in my room, which I am in the basement, it sucks.
What plug is your Ethernet connected to? Is it to the high volume one? Like my Ethernet cable goes to a 10...
It was working just fine before I got on here.
It's working great now. You're crystal clear.
I'm on Wi-Fi.
Well,
I'm on
Wi-Fi then.
So what? No, Wi-Fi will work for about 10 minutes.
You need to go to the router and see what plug your Ethernet cable is plugged into. Mine is plugged into a 10 gigabyte per second plug.
Yeah,
because I got fancy. You're doing fine. Just don't fuck
Well, mine is very fast.
Your big moment's coming up. But yeah,
I know it better not fuck up.
If it comes down to like a 4-4 split and it comes down to Amy Coney and Barrett, it's definitely not going Trump's way. Oh no, you keep freezing up. It's just so embarrassing for you. I apologize to everyone watching.
It is. It's actually pissing me off.
Comment below if you think Matt's a cheap ass and needs to upgrade to 2 gigs.
Sorry, everybody. Sorry, America.
I upgraded mine to 2 gigs, and it is wonderful.
It's not me.
Well, do you have anything? Have you heard anything for Happiness Week, or do you think that wraps it up?
I think we kind of touched on everything that I care about. It is WrestleMania week, though.
Comment below if you're a kick-ass wrestling fan.
Tomorrow and Sunday.
Any
Did
big
I just
cage
freeze again?
matches scheduled?
There's a triple threat between Roman
Oh, you broke up again.
Reigns
Oh shit.
and Roman. My back.
Yes,
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Where did I leave off at?
The very first wrestler you were saying.
So we have Roman Reigns, the tribal chief. We have CM Punk and Seth frickin' Rollins, who is from Iowa, actually. They're in a triple threat. And then we have John Cena and Cody Rhodes for the WWE title.
John Cena still wrestles.
This is his retirement tour. He is leaving this year.
Yeah, ever since
Starting
John
finally
Cena
a heel.
apologized to China in Mandarin, I lost all respect for that dude. All respect.
Babyface, 99% of his career he's been a babyface, and now all of a sudden he's heel because he's never really been a heel other than once, but everybody loved him, so he went to babyface. So this will be interesting. He's saying that all his fans are fucking stupid and mean.
Who?
John Cena said all the fans are stupid and have been mean to him his entire career, so now he's a heel.
No, I never had a problem with him until he apologized to China in Mandarin, and at that part, I'm like, okay, you're a tool, and you'll say and do whatever you need to do for a paycheck.
He did? I didn't know that.
Yes, he apologized to China in Mandarin for like some commercial or movie he did.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, that probably wraps up happenings of the week, which means it's time for a new segment of the show, which hopefully Matt doesn't fuck up from his cheap ass internet, and it is called Matt's Movie Review of the Week.
We give him the title. He watches the movie. You get the opinion you never asked for. This is Matt's weekly movie review. I like movies.
So for my first movie review, we have Killer Clowns from Outer Space, as requested by Josh and Kevin. This cinematic masterpiece, if you want to call it that, came out in 1988, and it's very evident of that. You can judge by this trailer. It had all the great things about normal 80s comedy horror movies, like the great costumes, the horrible dialogue, the terrible writing, and cheesy overacting. But the clowns were definitely the best part of this movie. There was really not much plot per se. They just kind of went around terrorizing this town. And that was great. That was the best part of this movie. But otherwise, I honestly up to anybody what they're saying. But these clowns are great. And after you watch the movie, it will take you a while to eat popcorn and cotton candy again. But that is my movie review of the week. I would say if you're bored and you have nothing to do, download Tubi and watch this movie and just ignore the commercial.
I like movies.
Oh, poor Matt. He's having such a hard time with the internet tonight. That was a decent movie. I think he underestimated how awesome the Killer Clowns from Outer Space is. It is actually a documentary on the downfall of the society, like we said in our current post. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Matt may or may not be coming back. I don't know. He's having a lot of internet problems. But, yeah, it's a good movie. I think you should check it out. It's so bad, it's good. It's just one of those classic, this movie is crap. Everything about it is horrible, but it's so horrible that it's good. Let's see, it seems like Matt's still having problems, so I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the show. So, until next time, I'm Josh. That was Matt, and this was The Lost Art of Common Sense. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week.